So what I've been doing here is I'm just trying to test out a whole bunch of the colours. I thought I'd take you through the process of behind the scenes. I've done it on a couple of other videos, like when I drew Maddie, the black dog. But here, I've never used light blue pastelmat before. And I know that pastelmat in general works better with some pencils as a base layer than others. So before I do my actual commission, I'm just seeing how various pencils layer up. So what I've done is I've selected a range of about 35 to 40, about 40, closer to 40, I haven't counted them yet, but closer to 40 pencils. Mostly Polychromos and Luminance. There's a few Derwent Lightfasts in here. In some cases, I've doubled up on the same colours. So, for instance, I've got the Luminance Terracotta and the Polychromo Terracotta, just because I want to just double check how certain ones work. Again, this is just me testing. So this is just a scrap piece of paper where I'm just practicing, I guess you could say practicing experimenting before I go into it. So for instance, I just did the dark indigo here and it's quite grainy. A lot of these greys up here actually blend quite nicely. This one's the Juniper Green and that's actually not too bad. And yeah, I'm just putting them in a little bit at a time. It's kind of like a swatch, just a bit of a test, and see which ones layer up nicer and which ones need a bit of assistance. Looks like the Polychromos actually layer up quite nicely on this. That one's a little bit grainy, but I'll see how it goes with a different blend on top. Yep, no problem, blends beautifully, and that's only a very light colour. So yeah, I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm just doing these little test little colours. So this one's Luminance, olive brown. And what this will also do is it will help me decide which colours I'm going to cut from this. So from this initial list of about 40 I've selected, I've got a Derwent, I'll show you. I've got this wrap that I use. And what I do is the final selection of pencils go in that wrap. And that's pretty much all I take out. That way I'm not bringing out a whole heap of different colours of pencils. It also means if I'm working on multiple pieces of work, all the pencils for that particular piece are in the wrap or a different wrap. And that way I'm not having to constantly get all the pencils back out again. They're already good to go. Oh, that's a very bright green. So I used this green on my tree frog I've just finished. And I guess on him it wasn't that bad, but this is super bright, so I'm probably going to not use that. Just because the monitor that I'm drawing, it's an emerald tree monitor. So it is going to be green, but it's more of a blue kind of green. Now, what I've drawn up is completely custom original. I've drawn it up from scratch, but I'm still obviously, because it is a real animal and I've got to make sure that I'm, doing it justice. I'll show you my reference photos. So I got all of these with permission from Remain. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. So yeah, Instagram user Remain or Raman. I'm sure she can correct me. I'm so sorry if I got her name wrong. I'll post it. I'll cite her page so you can see. But these are some of the reference photos. Here's another lot of photos that she sent me. Okay, and then this is what I drew up. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so I've got the tail curl in there. So the tail curl, I asked her for a few photos of the tail curl because they do curl their tail like that. And then that's more of, I asked for some photos of their back because he's going to be on the back. Okay, so yeah, so I drew it up by hand. So I came up with my own design of the artwork. But yeah, I am using references to ensure that the markings are correct, the proportions are correct, and all of that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm looking at my reference photos that I've printed off to kind of get the sort of green that I'm after. But what's going to happen is some of the greens are going to be a bit too similar and there's no need to have both. I got both brands just to see which will layer better. So for instance, these two, got the Phthalo Green and Beryl Green. I think they're incredibly similar. One's in the Luminance, one's in the Polychromo. Let me just see how the Polychromo layers by itself. It's not too bad. The Luminance, let's see how that layers by itself.
One more time.
What's that?
One more time.
Oh, rainbow time.
One more time.
Oh, one more time. Yep. Yeah, I'd say they are incredibly similar, but I'm actually going to say the Polychromo is probably the one I'm after. Yeah, did you? Which one are you doing again? Yeah. All right, so turquoise green. That one's very similar to what I put. Oh, this is super, super bright. Okay, so it's a little bit grainy. You want some ice cream, do you? And then light phthalo green.
Mommy?
Yes. Do you want ice cream? Because these two are pretty similar. Together they go very nicely. Together they are very nice and they layer up. Let me try. So that one was the Derwent. Yeah, can you close the fridge, please? So this one's the Luminance. Yep. And this one's the Derwent. I'd say the Derwent's actually a bit grittier. Pretty similar actually. Luminance and Derwent are pretty similar. Okay. What I might do, let me try this one again. So this one is the Polychromo. All right, I'll put the Derwent back. All right, so I was just comparing. Yeah, because the thing is I don't want to have 40 pencils I'm going through, because the reality is if they're too similar, I'm not really going to be using them. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so I've just done a little square of this, which is the middle verdigris 713 Luminance. This one is the cobalt green. And it is layering over it, but it's far more translucent. This one's actually this is actually quite opaque, which is interesting. Now I do like this one. Let's do it the other way around. So let's do a square of this. Let's put this one on. Yeah, this is definitely more opaque. That is very interesting. So I'm going to put this one away then and keep the opaque one just for the way that I'm going to be using this. Okay, so let's go back and just double check. So this one is a Polychromo as a base layer. How does this layer on? This is the light malachite. Yep, they actually complement each other quite well. Let's try this one, which is the phthalo green. Yep, they go quite nicely because, like I said, let me show you again. So they're green, but they're more of a blue-green. Okay, and again, I'll show you the pattern, or the design I've gone with. So I've drawn him like he's drawing up. So I've drawn him as though he's sitting on a tree. You got straw babies, do you? So my daughter calls, blue babies. So she calls strawberries straw babies, and blueberries she calls blue babies. So far we're not correct. Yeah, so that's pretty opaque. All right, interesting. And what's going to happen is I'm going to keep testing these pencils out, and I'm probably going to go back. This is the behind the scenes, what I do before I even start the piece. Okay, testing this out, because the reality is out of all the pencils I have still not used all of them. And I certainly haven't used them all on all surfaces. So like I said, this is the light blue pastelmat. And pastelmat does layer up in different ways. And obviously the final image I want to look, or the final artwork I do want to look quite smooth. All right, these go really well together. So they're staying. Let's try this one. This will be my shade tone. Ooh. Did you want some more straw babies?
No.
Blue babies? Yeah, blueberries, blue babies. All right, this one does actually go well, but I've got to be careful because this combination is beautiful. If I ever do a blue monitor, I am definitely going to remember this. Okay, here's another blue. Now I had that for the blue highlights, but considering I might not need this now, it does have a bit more blue on its back in the spots. But I might be okay with something like this because that gives a bit more of that blue contrast. Let me try this again. Because if I don't need it, yeah, I'll put these two blues away. So I don't need those two blues. Now, here you can see the creams. These are all really similar. These are all kind of the more yellowy, creamy, wheat, ivory kind of colours. All right, so even though they're pretty similar, this one is light aqua. So that one's pretty grainy. How does that layer up though? Layers up. Let's have a look. It's not too bad for details. Yeah, so I'll keep that one. That's fine to keep. This one is Arctic. So far Arctic has been fantastic as a blending kind of pencil. So I'll keep those two for blending. Silver grey I haven't used before. Let me compare that to white. It's pretty grainy like on its own. White is also pretty grainy. Let's try the cold grey too. Yeah, that actually does blend it out nicely. So that's not too bad. All right, hang on. So yeah, cold grey 2 is definitely staying in. Put that back. Now the question is, I got out the silver grey and I wasn't sure. There's nothing bad with it. It's pretty good. Yeah, but the thing is with the silver grey is, question is it too similar and not as needed? So what I'll do is I'll put that aside. This is the white. Yeah, the white's actually pretty good. The Chinese white and the Derwent drawing is also incredibly opaque. If I need it, I'll get that out, but this is the Luminance white. It's pretty good for highlights over the top, so that'll stay in. But yeah, I might put the silver grey actually off. This one's Buff Titanium. I use this quite a fair bit on my Gannet drawing, the two birds I did. Oh, I've got a sad baby here. But yeah, I might put that in, I'll see. I'll tell you what, so the face, let's see how this looks. So we'll do like a base layer here, or one of the colours I could be using. Let's see how this looks. Then the Buff Titanium over that. It's still pretty grainy. What I think I need is more of a Polychromo. No, it's too grainy. So let's try the Polychromo first. And then we'll go over the top with the Luminance. Yeah, it'll take a bit of experimenting. That's why I've got this scrap piece of paper. And that way I don't make any mistakes on the actual drawing. All right, Primrose. Try this one. So the pattern appears to be that the Polychromos actually blend things a lot nicer. Now a lot of these colours are actually pretty similar. I've got the Primrose and we got the olive brown. I think it's 10%. Yeah, 10%. They're pretty similar. So that's the brown. This is the Primrose. Primrose is a bit more creamy. Then this is the Derwent Wheat. Derwent Wheat's pretty similar to that. Yeah, so the question now is what to go with. So this is Derwent Lightfast Wheat. The thing is, there's not going to be many areas that are actually yellow. And I don't want to be doubling up too much. So the Primrose I probably won't use. So now it's just going to be olive brown 10%. I have to say, with the Luminance range as percentages, like wherever they say 10%, it's really actually, I really like them. Okay, raw umber 10%. So this would be more on, I would imagine, the shading. Like I said before, unless I've cut it out, the Polychromos appear to be very good at blending. All right, so what I might do is raw umber 10%. For this I might not use. Olive brown 10%. Let me just try that again. Let's try it with a Polychromo. Now we'll try it with a Derwent. Ooh, they both blend pretty good. Let me try it just with a Derwent and then just with the Polychromo. Now the other way around, let's try Polychromo. So the Polychromo by itself, that's the ivory. It's pretty grainy. Once I go over it with the Derwent though, yeah, they're about the same. So what I might do, that they partner up. So these two I'm keeping. So I've got the Derwent I'm keeping and the Polychromo. So the Derwent wheat and the Polychromo ivory. It was what I've come down with. Flesh pink. Now, sometimes I don't, well, a lot of the times I don't do this. So this is some for my older pieces. So when I was using Prismacolor and Polychromos, I got to the point where I could look at the pencils and know exactly what I needed. Because I'm new to Luminance and Derwents, that's why I'm doing this, because I'm still not that experienced with them. And there's no point me ruining a piece because I'm inexperienced. So I've got Oyster and Flesh Pink. Now the other way I might, so the other reality is I might not even be using them that much. Let me try this with Flesh Pink. Yeah, I'm going to put them in the maybe side simply because the actual monitor might not even use it, but they are good. Now, this is just for areas of the monitor where the green is quite yellow. So let's put the yellow down first, then green on top. No, that's too scratchy. Let's do it the other way around. Let's go green with a bit of yellow. Yep, that's pretty good. All right, let's try the more blue greens. So this one is the light phthalo green. Okay, let's add a bit of green, yellow to that. Yeah, I'd say I'm happy with that. And then we'll blend a little bit more with the ivory. That sound you're hearing is my daughter with her pacifier. 3.5 months old, so she just needs a bit of cuddles. Yep, I'd say that's good. So the yellow we'll be keeping. Now, I've got a bit of a darker yellow. This is the light yellow ochre. This is because I wasn't too sure if on the shadow areas where I don't want a super bright one. So let's try that. So again, this would be used mostly on the actual green. Okay, and try this. Okay, now let's try and see how they would go. So this would be like under the jawline. Actually, that's perfect. So I'm keeping that. That would be for the shadows under the jawline where the skin's kind of like a creamy green colour with a bit of a yellow tinge to it. So that combination's perfect. And let's see if this one's even necessary. So this one is raw sienna. So this is more to do with the eye or reflection. So let's do a fake eye, a practice eye. So I've got the cadmium orange. How does that layer in? Because this eye, you can tell in the references, I haven't got a great shot of the eye. This one actually might be better. Yeah, so here you can see there's a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange, but I want mine to look a lot clearer. So I'm going to make mine a very clear orangey browny kind of terracotta kind of colour. And this is why we do the practice. We experiment with layering the colours up. But yeah, I just thought this might, I don't know, might be interesting for some of you. Some people have probably already switched off, found it not that interesting. But that's totally fine. But I thought this little behind the scenes may be of interest to some people. I'll put this video separate to the one where I'm actually doing the drawing, because by that point I would have already selected the colours that I'm working with. But this can give people a bit of an inside behind my thought process and me just talking and chatting about how I do it. Yeah, I think these actually work out well. So let me try the terracotta again. This is the Polychromo Terracotta. It's okay. It's a little bit grainy on this surface, but not too bad. Let's do a bit of a shade here. Blend. Now that's actually quite opaque for a Polychromo. That's pretty opaque. They're usually quite translucent. So let's try this again, the raw sienna. This is the Luminance. Okay, that blends it quite nicely. We'll try and darken it again with the terracotta. This is the Luminance Terracotta. Yep. Yeah, I'd say that gives it a nice rich colour. Now I got this one, which is the Natural Rosette, because I figured that this, don't press too hard and break the lead. This will give those lovely details, because I'm not going to be putting black in it except for just the pupil. We'll have a little bit of black and then there'll be blue highlights, but I think this combination works well. All right, so that is the combination I'm happy with for the eye. Let's try a bit more highlights. Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, that works fine. Now with the black, I've decided to go with the Luminance black. So let's try it just on its own. Normally for super black ones, I tend to go Derwent Drawing, but I thought I'd try and just do Luminance. This is the dark indigo. I'm going to try and layer this up. If I can't get it looking as black as I want, I will go either a Prismacolor or the Derwent Drawing. Let me just see. It's not too bad. I would still say that the Derwent Drawing is still, I'd say Derwent Drawing is still a lot better. I'll just sharpen the video there. Yeah, I don't really want to have to get up and get the Derwent Drawing. It's in a different room. I'll tell you what, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal, because the only black areas, like as in actual black, is really the pupil and the dark bit of its ear. The rest of it I'll be using browns and the dark greens and things, because even the spots and stripes in the scales, they're not actually going to be really a black. They're more of a dark indigo and the different greys. So I've got like, I think it's Payne's grey, or at least Cold Grey 6. Cold Grey 6, yeah, I knew it was going to be one of those. So Cold Grey 6 will be the main dark colour that I'm using. Let me just see how that layers up. Ooh, I might have to go a Luminance equivalent if I can't get that up there nicely. So this is the black. Let me try the Luminance. But yeah, this is just me talking out loud to myself, using the process that I would use while doing colour selection. And like I said, when I was using colours that I was super familiar with, like when I was just using Polychromos and Prismacolors, and it was on a surface that I was familiar with, I would just look at the pencils and know exactly what to do. All right, this is Payne's Grey as a Luminance. It's hard to tell. The Payne's Grey is actually pretty similar to the black. Let me try a different one. The only reason I'm trying different types now is the Polychromos. Let me try them. The darker colours are meant to be a kind of more on the surface layer. They're not too bad. I mean, I could just do the thing where like you just draw around it, you just draw little circles and keep drawing around it. It's painstaking, but it does work. Interesting. But yeah, I keep chopping and changing my thought process, but yeah, it's sort of, you use different types of pencils for what you're trying to do. So if I'm trying to layer on top, I'm trying to see which type works best. So that's a Payne's Grey Luminance. This is a Cold Grey 6 Polychromo. I tell you what, as long as I do the dark first, I think I should be fine with the Polychromo, with just little edits with the black. So I'll put the Payne's Grey away. I may not need it. All right, how many am I left with after that cull? 35 now. Originally it was at like 45. So I've done a bit of culling, and absolute worst case, if I do find out that I need something, I will just come back and get it. I do want to minimize having to open out all my pencils to go through them again. I prefer to just select what I need and using those, but if I find I really need something, then I'll come back and get it. And the other reality is, even after this, I might find that I actually don't use I don't actually use some of these that much, or I might use them just a tad and then go, you know what, there's other combinations that I've selected here that actually work better, and I stick with those ones, especially when I'm doing a custom piece like this. So it's going to be a constantly evolving process. I'll keep working on it. I'll start the piece the way I normally start pieces, with the eye. So I was happy with this combination down here. I'm going to take a lot of inspiration as well from, I've drawn my friend's lace monitor in the past, Motley, and I've seen Motley up close a few times, quite a few times. So his eye will also be a bit of inspiration for me as well. But yeah, I thought I'd just show you that is a bit of behind the scenes process and what I do. So yeah, enjoy the next video where I'll hopefully be showing you the actual drawing. Enjoy.